Do you flip through music podcasts like you would the dollar bins of your local record shop, hoping to stumble upon that rare pressing or super under-the-radar classic? Well, dig no further. Vinyl Emergency is where musicians, everyday album collectors, and those who press, design, or otherwise celebrate vinyl records come to share their stories about how this influential medium has shaped their lives and careers. I'm your host, Jim Hankey, and you can join me and a new guest every other Tuesday as we take you through LP artwork that has stood the test of time, neighborhood record stores we remember, the first albums we ever bought. The tangible object of a vinyl record can spark so many intangible memories, and that's what Vinyl Emergency aims to capture and share with you. Past episodes have featured interviews with Hozier, Roseanne Cash, Ted Leo, and Creed Bratton from NBC's The Office, plus members of Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, Wilco, and Hall & Oates. Not to mention label owners, record pressers, and more within today's exploding vinyl community. You don't need to be a longtime record collector to enjoy or keep up with the program, but I guarantee you'll learn something new about each of our guests whenever you listen. Subscribe to Vinyl Emergency however you get podcasts, and follow the show on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Vinyl Emergency.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Mount Rushmore podcast. My name is Jeff and I'm joined as always by my good friends Richard.
Hello.
And Michael.
Howdy.
Richard and Michael, they're connected at the hip. They go everywhere together, and wherever they go, they argue. And how entertaining is that? But it's really fun and interesting to listen to them argue, especially about the topic this week where we're continuing our Two of a Kind or Two of Not of a Kind series. Last episode, we had the Mount Rushmore of duo bands, and this episode is the Mount Rushmore of power couples. Whose idea was this?
This was my idea, and honest to God, I have no idea why I picked it.
That just sounds good.
Yeah, it's just one that sort of felt like, I think there was probably, we had been talking about duos. I think it probably came up when we first did the Mount Rushmore of duos. Back at about a season and a half ago.
Yeah.
So I think this is one that had been sitting
just dormant,
stewing for a while. We were finally, kind of like bubbling up from the from the primordial ooze.
Now, I would say that you and Michael, you're both power couples. Describe your wife and all the amazing things she does.
Oh, well, she is a seamstress, historical seamstress. She does kind of sort of cosplay type stuff as well. And also has occasionally guested and co-hosted a podcast.
Yeah.
This one, in fact.
Michael, Emily.
She has been working in the fashion industry for many a year, designing everything from lingerie to bathing suits, back to lingerie again. Great graphic artist. Mm-hmm. She does a little bit of logo design here and there for things. So, yeah. So she's helped me, speaking of being a power couple, the topic of old kickball logos has come up recently. And I was just telling Richard how the level of work with our logos that I designed for various silly teams greatly improved once Emily and I got together. Because it was just like, I have these ideas for things that I can kind of, this is my big idea for the team, and then she could help refine it into something that looked good.
Yeah.
And before it was kind of like, all right, well, I can kind of fuck around in like Microsoft Visio, or I could draw a little bit, but I could never like put it together. So having a partner that kind of helped,
right, take your half-assed ideas and turn it into a real thing.
We were two halves of like a zipper, and it all zipped all together, just like that.
Well, that's cool. I couldn't have this conversation end without saying my wife is a super duper awesome lady.
Let's not talk about her.
Hey, guys, well, I guess we're moving on. She's a great actress and writer and all the things. But that's an interesting point, is in terms of what makes a power couple. Sometimes they're just independently famous and they do their own thing. But it sounds like in your cases that you partner very well with them.
Yeah, I think, especially with what Michael was talking about, I think with my wife, Sarah, and I think we kind of have our own separate things that we do.
Yeah.
I think Michael and Emily, I think you mentioned the kickball logos thing as an example. You guys tend to be the type of power couple who are both combining kind of like a little mini Voltron to do like one thing.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I imagine that now that we move on, we might talk about more famous celebrity power couples. But
No, that was my first one.
Okay.
It was me and my wife.
All right. Well, you don't go first. Michael goes first. So
Damn it.
Michael,
he might steal it from me.
Richard and his wife.
My first choice is Richard and Sarah. It is Beyonce and Jay-Z.
Okay,
And,
heard of them.
They are just, well, for one, they are just rich beyond compare.
Yeah.
She is worth something like $440 million just on her own, and he is worth over $1 billion just on her own. Together, they are worth $1.44 billion combined. I mean, just in terms of a money-making power couple, they are at the top of the, like, who are two people that just make that money together?
Right.
But creatively, they are both just also extremely powerful in their own right and then together.
Yeah.
She has been both of them have been making just hit music for 20 years each, from the mid-90s for Jay-Z, and I guess the same thing with Beyonce when she was with
Destiny's Child.
And it's just, maybe part of it is when you think of power, you think of money, you think of influence, how much they each can kind of influence either the world but also it comes back to like having like this tremendous fan base that will like do whatever Beyonce is.
The Beehive?
Yeah, whatever Beyonce is going to say and do, she has a huge swell of fans behind her that will follow and buy in.
She's like Oprah in that way.
Yeah, very much so.
And
Oprah's,
then Jay-Z has his Jaywalkers? I don't know what they're called. That's Jay Leno, sorry.
Oprah's the opposite of like a power couple where she has all the power and then Stedman is just there.
Right. Well, we don't know what happens behind the scenes.
That's true.
You don't know.
I'm interested I might ask this about the different couples that come up with, if they were to break up, who would be considered like the winner?
I think that's a good, interesting question to ask for everybody. For that, I think it would still come down to Beyonce. I think that Jay-Z might be more financially successful, and maybe he has more. I don't think that he is ever going to be more popular than her.
Yeah.
And I think that she will have a longer
recording career,
shelf life. I think that she will go on.
He was never a movie star.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
I mean, he's kind of has his hand in Rock Nation is involved in sports now.
Now they're doing the NFL halftime shows.
They're involved, with the NFL now. It's just like, I think that he is probably branching out into more
historical costuming. Oh,
That's
no.
who Sarah wore?
Oh, God.
Tell Sarah.
I think that he is probably branching out into more avenues, but I think that she's probably has more consolidated power amongst within
Interesting.
The music world. It seems to me.
Okay. Michael went first. Richard goes second.
All right, so my first one is FDR and Eleanor Roosevelt.
Okay, wow.
And, one was elected president 4 times. The other was the first ambassador to the United Nations.
Okay.
That is a pretty good pedigree in terms of a political power couple. They were really the power couple that Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton always wanted to be.
Yeah.
But could never quite get there.
Wait, would she have been ambassador to the UN?
Who?
Eleanor were not for her husband's profession. That's not trying to be a non-woke bro there.
Come on,
yeah.
bro.
Okay.
I think it probably gave her a platform.
Yeah.
To be able to speak out on the issues that she was interested in.
Okay.
Look, the fact that she was the first lady for 16 years, I think that is what gave her the notoriety and the ability to be able to, speak out on the issues that that she cared about.
Yeah.
Like I said, I think they were just, their relationship is just really weird and interesting. Mm-hmm. The fact that she was probably a lesbian and he fooled around with his secretary and several other people. Yeah. And they sort of had this nod and a wink agreement about this, even though at times it was very strained. So they're kind of this example of this power couple that almost it felt like stayed together because of the power that they wielded, I should say, and
No, they were welders too.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
That's how FDR got polio.
Yeah.
Little known fact.
Who do you think built his wheelchair?
Oh my God.
Roosevelt.
Wow,
welded
that's
that
so
together.
cool.
Yeah. Little known fact. It's on secret Wikipedia.
Oh, is it? I'm not familiar with secret
Well,
Wikipedia.
It's a secret.
And
Now you're dead.
those weren't teeth. They were welding torches in her front of her mouth. What do you think? Do you think from a historical standpoint, time will kind of go away from Jay-Z and Beyonce, but we'll still think of a U.S. president and who served that many terms? Yeah.
I think that from a longevity standpoint, from what both of them were able to accomplish, I think that their bodies of work kind of stand alone individually, but then you can consider them together.
Yeah.
And she really was in a lot of ways his number one political advisor as well.
Mm-hmm.
So she had a lot of the behind the scenes sort of power in that White House.
Yes.
Even if, beyond what you would expect from a normal first lady.
Her Super Bowl halftime show was amazing.
Is she the one where she did the magic tricks?
Yes.
Okay.
That's Elvis Presley.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, Michael, what's your second?
Well, I'll stay within presidential couples.
All right.
Barack and Michelle Obama.
Okay.
And I'll say this. If the law permitted it, or if she decided to run for president, either of these people would be the next president of the United States instantly.
Right.
Like, I don't think that there would be a person... I don't think that there would be...
You're wrong on this, by the way, but go ahead.
You don't think so?
I don't think it's as much of a slam dunk as you think it is.
Wait, are you saying Barack or Michelle?
Yeah. If the laws changed that Barack Obama's and he was going to run again.
It was about consecutive terms and not
whatever.
totals.
Let's just we're living in a fake...
Nobody says a goat can't play baseball.
Let's say that the laws changed and that you could run for president as many times as you wanted. And let's say Barack was to run again. I think he would probably win and beat Donald Trump. Because
I think you're really underestimating how much 49 to 51% of the population really hated Barack Obama.
I don't know. I not enough. I think less so than what we have now. I think that there is enough of... Okay, maybe it's just been that there's been 3 years of these... of talking about like the Obama-Trump voters, like those that did vote for Barack Obama that switched to vote for Trump. I think that you would gain a significant number of those back being like, you know what? I don't have to admit it in public. I don't have to be profiled by the New York Times again. I can just go back and vote for him again. I think that there would be enough. And I think that it would be like it would feel like a return to sanity, so to speak.
I think, and I know we're getting a little off topic on this.
Sure.
But that's what we do. I think that, keep in mind, Barack Obama didn't exactly beat Mitt Romney by a huge margin.
I think we live in a different time. I think that there.
Yeah, that was Mitt Romney. He was Mittens.
Anyway,
I'll back off now.
As for Michelle Obama, if she was to jump into the race, I don't think that any of these other people would.
Oh, these fools would not have a chance.
Would not have a chance against her. Maybe she wouldn't win, but I'm pretty sure she would win.
I think the good thing about her is she has no interest in doing this. So it's one of the things that makes her
this is
so appealing.
This is a great hypothetical too, because all of this is made up because she doesn't want to. These are two people who have left the highest office in the land and have a deal with Netflix instantly. It's just like, they want to go produce content at Netflix now, and they can just go do that. If Trump left office, there's no way he's going to go to Netflix. No way would they come and be like, do you want to do content for us?
He already is working for Fox News as a head of content.
Yeah,
that is
the content
the kind
creator,
of scathing political
hot takes
you get on here.
No, today he talked about Fox News and said we, in reference to himself and Fox News. Okay. All right. So,
but the point is I think that in terms of now, what was your question that you asked before? Who
if they broke up, who would people go with?
Probably Barack.
Okay. FDR and Eleanor.
Yeah.
probably, I'm going to say Eleanor because polio.
Yeah.
There's the power of that power couple.
Let
It's
it be known I
actually
laughed at boy. Okay, then Manfredi.
All right, so my second choice, as seen in the hit TV series The Crown, Queen Elizabeth II and Prince Philip.
Okay.
This is a classic example of a power couple where there's a couple of things at play. A, they stood the test of time because they've been married for, 50 years now? Something like that. I should probably know that. I didn't do the research. There's also
Well, she had her 60th. She had her
crown of her
whatever jubilee
right
a couple years ago.
So I think it's about 50 years.
No, but that
was 60 years since she was
crowned.
Oh, and maybe it is longer than that then.
Was she married before? No, she would have been.
Yeah, she was. They were married before.
So she has been queen for at least 60 years.
Right.
And they were married after she was queen.
Were they? I don't think that's right. Someone look this up.
We'll look it up real quick. Anyway, go finish your
Just finish my thought.
Yeah.
I think it's also an example where it's very possible that Prince Philip has a lot more power behind the scenes than we recognize.
Is this based? And this is based on the TV show The Crown?
That's all.
Okay.
That's all I'm basing it on.
Just making sure.
No. I mean, there has been speculation for years that Prince Philip is actually the person who has the authority to make final decisions in their relationship. Now, there's a lot of dispute about this and royal intrigue and argy-bargy and all that kind of stuff.
Married 1947, reign 1952.
Okay. So they were married. So, 60 years at this point, plus. So, yeah, I think that it's an example of a couple where the perceived dynamic that you see publicly may or may not be the actual dynamic that's happening behind the scenes. Mm-hmm. And I find that really intriguing. Plus, they're never going to die.
Yeah.
That's the other thing. They are clearly some sort of vampire.
Yeah.
Or I feel like there's a good chance there's vampire blood in the royal bloodline.
Well, what you don't know is that each of those corgis, they've done like kind of like a Spock transfer of his katra to each of those dogs. So there's a soul that's living inside the dog. That's the dog soul, nice and pure, and then the royal soul. So that's why you see so many corgis running around, because one's about to die. They just put it in the other one.
Wow.
And sure, they got to go back to...
I'd put it in a turtle or something. Those tortoises live to be 150 years old. You put it in a dog?
This guy knows what's up.
Outside the box thinker over here. Well, this thing, in England, they can't have tortoises. Too cold.
It's too cold.
Too cold for tortoises.
Oh, my
Ever been
God.
to the zoo? They always have to have the tortoises like with all the heat lamps
In a
and
big
crap.
mitten, a big tortoise.
Yeah, they can't have it in England.
The stuff you learn on the Mount Rushmore podcast about reptiles and creatures and things like that.
Herpetology and the royal crown.
And Vulcan transfer of your, soul and presence.
I want to invite you to make a triptych out of this by going back and listening to this is our halftime. Then go back and listen to the first in the trio about the duos. We've got a trio about a duo going on here. And the last one was the Mount Rushmore of duo bands. And then in a week, we're going to be discussing, what is it? I forgot it already.
Oh, it is the Mount Rushmore of things that are simultaneously the best and the worst.
The best and the worst. Okay. Jeff Hopkins, I think, at this current state, my brain is the best and the worst thing going on for me because I can't even remember anything. But I also want to invite you to go back farther than the last week and download and listen and maybe give a review for past episodes. It's super easy to support us in the Mount Rushmore podcast. We don't ask anything from you financially. We just love for you to click on stuff. Go to iTunes and anything that says Mount Rushmore podcast, just click on it and subscribe to it and listen to it. You can even click on the 5-star thing. Just click. You don't even have to really listen to it. Just click on it and rate it. But we'd also ask you to click on it and share it with people you know and love. You could go to our Facebook site and click around on that, Twitter and Instagram as well, and leave some typing that indicates what kind of topic you'd like to hear us discuss in the future, or leave some emoticons, a frowny or a smiley, that indicate how you feel about us as individuals. So that would be really cool.
The shrug emoji too works.
Shrug. Yeah, I don't know.
The only 4-star review I think we've gotten was the one that said, not bad.
Not bad.
Wasn't that what it said? I think
That's my favorite review.
Yeah, it's my favorite review we've ever had.
Well, I was trying to figure out which of our family. Left that not bad.
That might be one of our parents.
Same person, not good.
Not
good.
too bad, not so good.
Not so great. I want to also ask you to evaluate Michael and Richard from a vocal standpoint. Is one of them softer and more, what is it?
Gentle?
Gentle? And is the other more bombastic?
I think authoritative.
Authoritative.
was the phrase that was used.
Just curious.
Which one is which?
Which one is which? And then what does it mean?
please.
That makes me lukewarm water, just like in between nothing.
Just like Spinal Tap.
Just
You
about,
are Derek Smalls.
The Derek Smalls. Okay, so the bad news is we're back. And the good news is Michael's going to lead us off.
Well, very strange that you mentioned Spinal Tap.
Oh, wow.
Kind of, on the side.
Yeah.
My couple is Sherri and Cabot, owner of Rhapsody in White, and the handler, Christi Cummings, from the movie Best in Show.
Oh, wow.
Oh, nice.
That's a great poll.
It is a couple that one of them has all of the financial power and all of seemingly the sexual sway over, and
Yeah.
the other one has the handler chutzpah and the confidence,
Right.
and the
It's basic Jane Lynchness.
Yeah.
Jane Lynch isness of her. They are such a wonderful couple together. And I could have almost selected any of the couples, whether it was Megan Hamilton Swan or whether it was Scott Donlan and Stefan Vanderhoof.
Yeah.
Although I don't think I could have chosen
Flick.
Jerry
Jerry.
and Cookie Fleck. They're not quite a power couple, but
No.
She's a power couple unto herself with pretty much half of the town, but
well, she's got a power couple.
yeah.
Is what would have been said by all of those creepy guys that all look the same. What an amazing movie! But I loved Sherri Ann and Christi as just I just love them as Christi is so confident that she is going to win,
Right.
and but she just is also in love with this other just ditzy, voluptuous woman that has all the money from her nearly
90-year-old
husband, and I love that at the end that they lose and go off to do
American Bitch.
American Bitch magazine.
Yeah.
And that's where all of their efforts together as a couple are going into doing this other thing that they've decided to leave some other things behind.
That's awesome. What a fun pick. Do you think, were they to have broken up, that Sherri Ann or Christi would be the nominal winner of the thing?
Well, I think
one has all the money.
Yeah, I think that Christi Cummings, I think that she wouldn't have ever accepted that she lost the relationship.
Okay,
Yeah, that's a
And
very
I think
good point.
that Sherri Ann would have just moved on.
Yeah.
She would have just,
She may not have been aware that she broke up.
she might have just eaten her way through bags and bags of popcorn.
Yeah.
to her next relationship.
Okay, Richard.
All right, so your recurring question, we don't need to ask for this one because we already have the answer.
Okay.
This
Is this
one-
Lee and Perrin?
Yes.
We are the winners of the Worcestershire.
The Worcester.
My taste buds are what wins, Jeff. No, this one is Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz.
Oh, wow.
And they weren't just an on-screen couple in force. I mean, obviously we know them from I Love Lucy and the movies that came kind of out of that. But they were
Great pick.
They were this great behind-the-scenes juggernaut that really transformed the way television is made.
Yeah.
I mean, they pioneered the whole concept of actually filming a TV series and actually keeping the film.
Yeah.
And doing it before a live TV audience. I mean, that's just stuff that we consider obvious today. But, back before I Love Lucy, everything was shot on these kinescopes. And stuff was just lost because...
I believe a kinescope is a film of a television, but I think it was all the video sent out. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Sam Kinescope is the same thing, but
Kinescope,
a lot of yelling.
A lot of shouting.
Yeah.
And a beret for some reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that basically, you're absolutely right. They would film it. The old idea would be they would film it live, and then they would send the kinescope out around the country, and that's what you would broadcast. Well, they had the idea of let's actually film this before a live studio audience so we can get actual reactions, and let's actually film this so that we have a recording of it so this can be played at a later date. And it was really the first time that a studio was actually built, custom made for like a TV setup. I mean, you had to actually think about, okay, how are the cameras going to work, and where's the audience going to sit?
Yeah.
And how is this going to work in relation to everything else?
It was almost like TV done on purpose, not adapted from radio or theater or something.
Yeah, something that was, like you said, purpose-built television versus just sort of this accidental, let's just try it and see what happens sort of thing. And a lot of that was Desi Arnaz. He was kind of the visionary of the team.
Yeah.
He was, of course, also the womanizer and drunk of the team, which is why we know what would happen if they broke up, because that is why they broke up. And we know that the public loved Lucy,
right,
for generations, and Desi, is kind of just he's Babalu, he's that guy, But the Desi Lou, their production company, they produced Star Trek, Andy Griffith Show, Dick Van Dyke Show. Yeah. I mean, their legacy is like
Mission Impossible.
Mission Impossible is another one. It's just this remarkable legacy of behind the scenes stuff. And then you add to that the amazing chemistry that they had as a couple on screen. Yeah. And I know we've talked about I Love Lucy, and I kind of go back and forth on it as in terms of the quality of the show, but you can't deny kind of the chemistry that the two of them have. Yeah. So I think they're a really good example of a power couple who sort of, from what you see, almost like Jay-Z and Beyonce. Like, what you kind of know them from what they produce entertainment-wise, but there's also all this behind-the-scenes stuff that's happening that's really fascinating as well.
Yeah. I've heard that they never really fell out of love. She just had to end that.
Yeah, and Desi has definitely said that she was the love of his life, and he always loved Lucy. But yeah, it was definitely a starstruck relationship. Put it that way.
Yeah. Okay, Winfield, what's your final choice?
Well, God, it's hard to come off of that one. That was such a good pick, so this is just going to sound goofy. Gomez and Morticia Addams.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, it's a fun pick.
Where, it's fun, but like yours was...
they have a very passionate relationship.
I think I was really focused on the couple portion of what these people, fictional or otherwise, are like as couples and how much they work together as a couple, not just necessarily that they are successful. Although Gomez Addams was certainly a billionaire for some reason that is often unexplained. He didn't really work. He just kind of had inherited.
I think it was just old money. Yeah,
it was just old money, and he was just an eccentric billionaire. And Morticia Addams was just the love of his life, and she kind of had all the power over him. So I guess I was thinking of power couples in that term. She kind of came from a family of witches, and they just lived a weird and wonderful life. But I think that's always interesting when maybe this is harken back to the Christi Cummings and Sherri and Cabot pick, where one person has all of this financial wealth, but the other person has the actual power over the other person. So there's a power play within the couple, but not necessarily equal. They're equally powerful, but their means are directed two different ways, I guess.
Yeah.
I think what I associate with a power couple is usually people who their career isn't necessarily first, but it's primary in their lives. Like they're in love. A doctor and a lawyer get married, and they each still love what they do. And the relationship is something that kind of supports it. For whatever it is that Morticia and Gomez do, it seems like they still find...
They really didn't do much other than have this eccentric family.
Yeah.
And then have adventures, I guess, with hand.
Yeah. But
did they ever go on vacation like in Hawaii?
I don't know. You like the Munsters. The Munsters seem like a family that would go on vacations of that sort. It seems
Right.
like the Addamses would probably just like go to Transylvania.
Yeah, 'cause
even though
the-
that seems
Yeah, because
inaccurate.
the Munsters were more of like your stock
Monster.
sitcom family. They just happened to be monsters.
Yes.
Yeah.
Versus the Addams family, who were truly weirdos in every sense of the word.
Yeah. It's funny to go back and I'm sure you've probably seen it. See like the full color photos of what the Addams family house looks like.
Wasn't it pink or something?
It's like pink
Oh,
and
really?
garish. It's like
Yeah, because pink shows up better
And black and white.
in black and white than,
Yeah.
than black does.
that. I mean, that's another thing a weird thing to go back and look at like colored I Love Lucy plates.
Right.
And like everything looks so strange. Like the couch is bright green and her dresses are super bright colors. And obviously her hair was
her is yellow.
her hair was-
Weird.
But like, it's so funny to go back and see like things that the actual color of how before they were transferred to black and white and see how it just changed.
Yeah.
So like the Addamses end up being more gothic than I think was intended.
You think so? Because going off of the original comics, the cartoons.
The cartoons
Those
definitely
were
had like
very
a
gothic.
kind of an Edward Gorey sort of feel to them.
Yeah,
Maybe.
I think that was. I think it was pretty intentional.
So it's Richard's time to state his final.
All right, so my
Option.
last one. Yeah, my last one is the power couple of the grunge era: Kurt Cobain and Courtney Love.
Choice.
So depending on your point of view, they were either both these like really uncompromising, single-minded talents, or Courtney was just riding off of Kurt's coattails. And I find them really fascinating for a variety of reasons. One of them is the way that the public has kind of viewed their relationship and how that's changed and evolved and molded. It could become kind of like twisted over the years.
Yeah.
You know, when they were together, there was very much this idea that Courtney Love was this, had kind of slept her way to the top, that she was that the only reason her band was successful was because she was married to Kurt Cobain, and that's how she got a record deal, which is not true at all, just to make that point perfectly clear. But that was sort of the perception that was out there, and there were a lot of people who were, Kurt Cobain fans who hated Courtney Love.
Yeah.
And then I remember immediately after he died, Courtney became this really kind of tragic figure for a while.
Yeah.
And now it's you've got people who think Courtney Love killed Kurt Cobain. You've got other people who look at her and see her as someone who has really become this staunch defender of Kurt Cobain as a icon and his image, and someone who's kind of like Yoko Ono is for John Lennon. That's kind of the role that she has served for Kurt Cobain. And I think a lot of how you perceive their relationship says more about you than it does their relationship.
Yeah.
So I find that dichotomy like really fascinating.
I remember seeing her in People versus Larry Flint and thinking she's a phenomenal actress.
She is.
Yeah, and she, I think, wasn't she also on the cover of like Cosmopolitan or something like that? And like, I imagine that's, for the reason it's to sell magazine, but she had, it almost seemed like she was kind of using celebrity as this tool to almost playing with us,
Right.
with her celebrity.
She's incredibly smart.
Yeah.
Every person I've known who's had any interactions with her, and I've known a couple over the years, have just talked about how really smart she is.
Oh,
and
really?
maybe she has problems with drugs at the moment, or she doesn't, or whatever her mental state is
Yeah.
at the time. But one of the things I always talk about is just she's whip smart. And you can kind of see that in the way that she's been able to, like I said, defend Kurt Cobain's legacy over the years.
Yeah.
I just remember the day that Kurt Cobain, after they found his body, and her reading his suicide note out, like a recording of it was being played like to all the people who had gathered around the house, and it was just heartbreaking. And I think that was a point for a lot of people where your perception of her changed.
Yeah.
But for a lot of people, they were so opposed to this idea that maybe Courtney Love was a strong, powerful woman on her own, that they've just never been able to get over that.
Yeah. I would say that some people have such ownership of a celebrity, whether it was Yoko Ono or Cynthia Lennon or Sean Lennon or Julian Lennon, they feel like they have a stronger relationship with that celebrity than their family, their spouse, their child. They have this relationship. They almost feel like jealous of you because of your proximity to that.
Right, especially
person.
I think especially with musicians and especially when they're artists who maybe don't let the world in all the way. And Kurt Cobain was definitely a very private type of person who very much did not enjoy the concept of celebrity.
Yeah.
Was not somebody who was going to be out there doing interviews and signing autographs and things like that. So I think you're right. The idea that someone like Courtney Love had this intimate access to her. And look, they were a toxic relationship. There's a podcast I think I mentioned on the show before called Disgraceland. They did a 2-part episode on Kurt and Courtney. I would highly recommend it if you're interested in their relationship. They were equal parts great for each other and then also really terrible for each other.
That would suck to go from being the spouse of a person whose celebrity eclipsed yours to now having to be the grieving widow who has to be perfect in everyone's, who's kind of the mirror of the how people feel about the departed. And now they can't be real. They can't have a band. They can't have a career.
Which I think is interesting about Courtney Love then is that she said, no, fuck you.
Yeah.
I'm going to still have this career and I'm still going to, make music and I'm still going to, and now I'm going to start acting in movies and be fantastic in those.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be on Cosmo magazine.
Yeah.
I'm not going to just sit
I'm
here
not
and
sitting
be
Shiva for this.
Yeah, the widow Courtney.
Yeah.
So, and also she probably killed him. Kidding.
All right. Between FDR, you've had black widows and black widows in each of your couples.
Are you saying there's a theme here, Jeff?
Yeah. Okay, so you guys, pretty cool choices. Just going to pull out, I think it's probably the obvious, Beyonce and Jay-Z. Maybe some of our listeners might have chosen that one, so let's put that one up on the Rushmore. And then I thought that was a fun, actually some really compelling picks there from Ricardo. I'm going to go with Kurt and Courtney because he had so much to kind of support that. Lucy and Desi, and I'm going to go with QE2 and Prince Phillip. So that's a 3-1. It rarely happens here at the Mount Rushmore podcast because I like Michael so much.
I guess we know who's the power in this duo.
Oh, wow. You just got bottomed.
Just this week.
Oh, my God.
Just this week.
Let's, guys, tune in next week, see if the tables might get turned.
Maybe. Let's see.
Or just they'll turn the same way harder. Okay, this has been the Mount Rushmore of Power Couples. I am I'm Jeff.
I'm Richard.
I'm Michael.